And we're alive again. So anyway, when we last were having a discussion, Cameron didn't have the sign in the background, which looks all kind of digitized right now.
It looks like an ISIS banner.
It does.
Don't you judge me. Don't you judge me.
That's nice font there. Good job.
That's not my handwriting. That's either my girlfriend's or my wife. Don't worry about it. Anyway.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, you're telling a story about something, and then it got cut off, and I don't know.
Where we left off was Cameron was about to commit career suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the YouTube crashed.
Yeah, the NSA heard me say, "I'm not talking shit about the Army, but," and then the video just stopped. Hold on, I'm pulling this up, not out, because we don't pull out. Pulling this up right now on YouTube. So let's
494. So what is the SC 494? What is that?
So Hayes is my last name.
Right. So that's C494. You didn't have a Corvette, did you?
No. C is my first initial. And honestly, I don't remember what the 494 stands for. Yeah, like that's really honestly.
You're that old, huh? You forgot shit.
I don't like that was back when I was like, wow. Oh fuck. Hey, it's working. That was like when I was 15 or 16 years old. Whenever I came up with that, and I don't remember what the significance of it was anymore. Give me just a minute, and I'll continue what I was saying. Yeah. So talk amongst yourselves. Talk about what you think I was about to say.
For our viewing audience, just to recap, Cam was about to commit career suicide. Corey's mic don't work for shit. I hate the Mossberg pistol with the safety. Cam knows how to reload. TJ knows how to make knives, and Rick knows how to fuck up podcasts. And we're live.
That's what I do.
So I didn't fill enough time.
Someone might have hit the stop button on a mistake, maybe. Yeah.
Oh shit. So let's see.
Somehow I can get a podcast started, but yeah.
Do we have
are you about good, Cam, or should we do one more thing?
Yeah.
Corey's face is always so still.
Okay,
I think he just posts a photo of himself in front of the camera.
Is the only comment that we had so far from Rick that says hi all?
Yeah. As of this time, because no one else is here yet.
We had a fucking gold mine of comments the last time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, now I've got my laptop behind my cell phone. My laptop, so that I can actually see, what it says.
I call it laptop. I don't say lap. I call it laptop because I put it on top of my lap.
So you can just be wrong, I guess. Oh no!
I know, right?
Did something happen?
Yeah, you killed your camera.
Oh, mother cock! Hold on.
He's developing a load again.
All right. So while we're waiting for him to go, TJ, favorite pistol shooting drill?
What? Pistol shooting girl?
Drill.
Oh,
we said that. We swear you said girl.
I heard girl.
I heard girl.
Drill.
Okay, so I actually have two. The bill drill, so draw 6 shots on target, right? I also am a fan of 1R1 drills. So 1 round.
One reload, one.
Lock to slide lock, reload, 1 round. Those two build some of the I think probably and this is obviously my own personal opinion on this, but I think those two build some of the best fundamentals when it comes to, self-defense shooting, even in competition and stuff like that, because you're working just those two very simple drills. You're working on so many. It's so much better than standing there and just punching a hole in paper at the range for sight acquisition, marksmanship, general marksmanship. You're working the draw from the holster, putting multiple shots on target consistently. Anybody can draw and put 1 round on target. Okay, anybody can do that. That's no big whoop. That's why I don't get excited. Like you see these all these folks on Instagram and YouTube. They'll draw really fast from concealment and put 1 round on target. Right. Yeah, it's cool. They can do it in under a second. That's great. But put 5 more rounds exactly where you put that first shot. That's where I think the skill comes in.
I'm not saying that we're just calling out instructor zero like that, but whatever.
Yeah, or that dude that drops every other frame from his videos. So he just deletes frames out of the videos, and you don't like nobody's supposed to notice there was a bird over here. Now the fucking bird's here. It's like I don't know what happened. Like, shut up.
It's a magic bird.
Yeah.
But no, actually, no. Instructor Zero has plenty of other footage to demonstrate.
Whoa, Corey!
What the fuck?
We're hearing ourselves back to your microphone.
Now you've got to mute because you're causing.
Mute that motherfucker.
What the fuck is wrong with
What in the hell?
Jesus Christ!
Oh my god!
Anyway,
you just got done developing a load.
Instructor Zero is actually one of my favorite social media gun celebrities because that dude he is not a one-trick pony. Like I'm speaking specifically of those guys that only have like that draw from appendix carry and under a second.
Oh yeah, he likes to shoot without sights at a pole from X amount of yards away.
Yeah, he can do some amazing stuff. So anyway, those that are guilty of this, they know who they are.
Yeah, they do.
But then the 1R1 drill is it capitalizes on not just the draw in one round, but adding in the complex movement of dropping the magazine, bringing the gun back into your workspace, and retrieving your magazine, inserting the magazine into the weapon, reloading, and then firing. So,
okay, cool. So
those are my two favorite. But if I only ever had one drill that I could work, like if we had to knock it down to one drill and one drill only, the Bear Solutions target, his basic qualifier. I can't remember the name of it, but it's you go on Bear Solutions website, and I've had the privilege of actually being in a competition with him. Dude is fantastic, but real simple. 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper turned landscapes. Lengthwise, he's got. I think it's a 3x5 square on one side, a 3x5 square on the other, and I want to say it's a 1 inch, maybe a 2 inch circle in the middle. Draw 5 rounds in the left, 5 rounds in the right, 2 slide lock, reload, 3 rounds to the center circle. So you're working on transition drills, firing, obviously, capitalizing on the same fundamentals as the bill drill. With multiple rounds in a small target consistently, the reload, and then throttle control because you have to slow down your firing tempo to make those well-placed shots in that center circle. So if I had to narrow it down to just one, it would be that one. But if you want to go where you don't have, that target printed out or something, if you don't have the foresight to think that up, traditionally the bill drill and the 1R1.
Sweet. All right, I'll give you 2. So, number 1, the Vickers or Hackathorn, the test, quote unquote, the test. 10 rounds, 10 yards, 10 seconds. Some cats run it from low ready, or you can run it right from the holster. I like to run it from the holster. And the idea is not to send any rounds outside of the black zone of a B8. So 10 yards, 10 rounds, 10 seconds. Keep them all in the black of a B8. And any round that goes outside the black, you add a second for. So if you get a 6.25, but you got 4 out, you're 10.25 and you don't pass.
Okay, so question for those
sure.
Playing the home game, not familiar with a B8.
Sure.
Can you elaborate on roughly the dimensions of the black zone of a B8?
5.5 inch diameter circle.
There you go.
So.
Okay, yes. So essentially a headshot.
Yeah, you're basically keeping them in the dome. 10 rounds, 10 yards, 10 seconds. We were working those tonight at the range, and guys are either getting all their hits but getting over time, or getting time but not getting their hits. And then you come in there and you do it in 6 1/4 or 5 3/4 or something like that. You're shooting some jailbait splits and you're keeping your rounds where they need to be. So like you said, anybody can get a gun up and get one round where they want it to be. by round number 10, your recoil mechanics better be top notch. Otherwise, that muzzle's flipping to the fucking moon and back, right? So the test, I like that one. The other one I like because it incorporates a lot of different shit to include reloads and throttle control and all that stuff is dot torture. And you can run dot torture anywhere from 3 yards to as far back as you can clean it. You know, and that's, you're shooting at various size circles, you're shooting various strings of fire, and you're really, you know, you're really working a bunch of different fundamentals on dot torture. So the test, dot torture.
See, when I think of drills, I don't think of dot torture necessarily as a drill because I view it more as a diagnostic test. Like if you like, let's say you run those other drills, you know, either the test or the Bear Solutions or whatever the case might be, and you're making the time, but your rounds are all over the place. What's the natural, you know, diagnosis there? Okay, it's either my grip or my trigger control. And dot torture is an excellent way to diagnose or figure out exactly what you're doing with your trigger pull.
So then I'll give you another one. 3-round fade back. So start up close at 3 yards, put 3 rounds on a small circle, back up to 5, 3 rounds in the same circle, back up to, you know, 7, and see how far. So pick a circle size. You get a 4-inch circle, let's say, and see how far back you can keep everything, all 3 rounds inside that little group.
That's a good one. I like that idea. I actually ran a similar drill.
See where you fall apart.
Yeah, I ran a similar drill like that with a buddy of mine that invited to the range with him to just to kind of work some of those fundamentals. He hadn't had any, you know, formalized training, trying to get ready for competition. Wanted to get into competition, asked me to come out and help. And he had started using a CZ that had, it was an SPO1 that had the suppressor height sights on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were debating on would there be a holdover or under at distance, because I have shot suppressor height sights before. I've got them on my P320RX, but I use the red dot, right? If I've used the iron sights on it, it's up close to where, you know, it doesn't matter so much. So again, small target. We think it was a 2-inch circle that we had, and I had him stay at 3 yards, 3 to 5 rounds, 5 yards, 3 to 5 rounds, and at the same time had him maintain his same sight picture.
Yep.
And that was really one to determine his ability to control the firearm at a slow, you know, pace, you know, controlled fire, and at the same time identify and familiarize the sighting system for a new firearm. Sure,
that's great. And yeah, there is absolutely some height over bore problems when you start getting suppressor height sights. It's no different than with a red dot. Depending on how good your milling is or what dot you're running, you know, if you're running a Leopold Delta point on a, you know, MOS plate, and that motherfucker's sitting, you know, a couple thousandths higher than it would be, you know, it's going to matter to a certain extent. Plus, how big is the MOA of your dot? You know, if you're shooting a 7.5 MOA triangle, like, what's your point of aim? Is it the top of the triangle? Is it the middle of the triangle? You know, so yeah, all that shit comes into play. But good drills. What do you got, Rick? What do you like?
What do I like to do?
Yeah.
So one of the things,
pistol's that little black thing that you keep in your drawer.
Yeah, right. Actually, I keep it in the EDC organizer next to my bed. So
hashtag shameless plug.
Yeah, hashtag shameless plug on my YouTube channel, right? So, one of the things I do just for fun, I don't have an actual like drill that I pick out because I'm not that super tactical and cool. I like to just practice moving and shooting a lot, you know, like walking and shooting at targets like at that same time, just kind of practicing that and doing mag changes and stuff as well, just kind of at random. And I'm not trying to be the best at one particular thing. You know what I mean? I want to have like being able to do basic, you know, manipulation of that firearm more than anything. So that's just kind of the gist of it, I guess.
Sweet. Yeah. What do you got, Cam? What do you like?
So I've got a couple of drills that I like to run that are not necessarily strictly for pistol. Like you can use other other guns to do it. You can use a shotgun, you can do a rifle, because I do shoot 3 guns, so it's important to to diversify yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But one of the drills that I really like, and you as an IDPA, sure will know this one, is tack sequence. So I like to do tack sequence, but I use 8x11 pieces of paper, like y'all were talking about the B8 targets and stuff like that. I like using 8x11 pieces of paper because an 8x11 piece of paper is roughly the size of the heart and lungs area on a person. So, yeah, I use 8x11 pieces of paper, and I do transitions, and I really like tack sequence. For those of you who don't know what it is, everybody gets 1 before anybody gets 2 or 3 or 4. It's really modular. You can do a lot of changes to it. So, like, for example, if you've got, 4 targets, then you would go 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. And that's tack sequence. You can also incorporate reloads in there, and then that kind of messes with you a little bit because you have to remember where your last shot went. And stuff like that. So that's one that I really enjoy doing. And not only that, you can do it. You can play with the distance. You can play with the amount of targets. You can play with your reloads. You can do different weapons. So like I said, you can do it at different distances. Like you can do tack sequence with your precision rifle with 3 targets. And stuff like that. So it's a really modular drill. That's what I like about it.
So my one point about like the drill thing is that. And I may be wrong. I may be out of line. I might not know what I'm talking about. But just my thought on it is that if you're practicing something, it's kind of like they talk about muscle memory and all that kind of stuff. Like you're training your brain to do something in a certain sequence, or you're looking for a certain set of targets or something like that. Real life, I can only imagine, because I've never been in a situation again, that there'd be, there's no set circumstance of what you're going to encounter. You know what I'm saying? Like you may not have 4 targets that you're going to put 1 in each one and then go back over, or you're not going to be just drawing from your holster and firing off 1 round, or going through a sequence of some type.
Sure. So the idea behind it is to have objective, measurable standards, right?
Gotcha. That makes sense.
That we can start a yardstick for ourselves. And my build drill, when I started giving a shit, was over 10 seconds, and now it's 3 1/4, right? So have I gotten better? Sure I have. But
you've gotten better at that singular task.
Sure. But if you only – I would totally buy what you're saying. If I went to the range and did nothing but build drills for the next – I go 3 times a week. If I did all build drills just to get that time, that'd be great. I'll grab 6 things – that all highlight different skill sets and different components, decision-making, reloads, movement, etc. And I'll do those, and I'll record my times, and I'll record my hits. So I'm not going to the range and playing Instagram hero and doing 20 build drills to get the best time,
right? And
filming that one and throwing it up. I'm going to start build drill, then I'm going to do the test, then I'm going to do tack sequence, then I'm going to do – and I'm, R1. I'm just going to keep going on different things. But if we're recording our shit, if we're not just going out there and making noise, no different than my man with his, killer reloading knowledge. If you're actually measuring yourself against a standard, you're going to see improvement, and you're going to see also where you fall apart. I'm going to tell you right now where I fall apart. I'm doing the IDPA 5x5 classifier shit right now, and I get that strong hand only motherfucker at 10 yards. And I'm sending one of them to Shanksville every time, no matter what, right? So down zero, superstar, fuck, right? So that's what I need to work on. So what I need to be doing is I need to be taking my fat round ass up to the range, and I need to be sending a bunch of rounds downrange, strong hand only. So real life skill set, sure, man. Like we don't know what the fuck we're gonna face if we ever face anything. But the more objective standards and the more different things we work on, I think we make ourselves better rounded shooters. No different than these guys do with PRS gas gun and shit. I mean,
and see, that is where I think, and this is probably going to bay a few people up, but that is where I think that there is validity in building skills through competition.
Absolutely.
Like there's a lot of people who will say, oh, competition has no place in in the tactical world. People who only shoot to get better at self-defense and war fighting or that gunfighting or whatever the case might be. they're too myopic to really understand the principles. By incorporating, if you remember your fundamentals and remember that it is in fact a competition, but you take it for what it really is, and that is putting yourself in an otherwise reasonably unpredictable environment where you're being measured in your performance of and in that environment, that is adding that X factor of I don't know what's going to happen, the fog of war, if you will. You want to get a buzzword to it. That's why I like competition. I don't go. I'm never going to be a sponsored shooter that's make it getting all these cool toys and stuff like that. If I got that level, great. But I compete so that I can put myself and push myself beyond just running drills here and there. You know what I mean?
Sure. So the other thing, and just Rick, just to help you with this too, this is where, and I'm lucky here, you get a good range buddy, you get some good training partners.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in charge for a night, motherfucker. You're doing what I say.
Gotcha.
Give me the test right now. 10 yards, 10 rounds, 10 seconds. Shooter ready, stand by. You better be able to put it where I want it. Beep. Right? You don't know what you're going to do when you're going to do it. So if you're working with other people, that's not, if I'm going to the range by myself and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I keep logs and sheets and all kinds of stuff. I'll shuffle my shit up on the bench and I'll pull something and I'll go, oh, fuck, looks like I'm shooting a test. Just so that like we're not going to the range with this attitude of like, this is what I'm going to do today. And yeah, so if you know, then you know.
There was a company, and I can't remember the name of it.
Refactor Tactical, those cards. Yep. Yeah.
Cam knows what I'm talking about because I'm sure he's done deck of card PT before.
Yes.
Yeah. So same concept. Anyway, I really want to hear the rest of Cam's story.
Yeah, so
I do too.
We've all been waiting. We kind of put it off.
Well, I didn't mean to make that so. I was just trying to fill some time for him.
Before we do that, I want to say welcome, Brandon. He's been here quietly waiting for us to be quiet.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to see you again. It's been a while.
Brandon!
Yeah, glad to have you, man. So in case you missed earlier, Cameron was in the middle of a conversation about his career or something and life choices, and shit got shut down halfway through.
Well, I think we start. It started with in the early stages of his rant, I brought up the question: what the hell are soldiers coming out of basic and AIT with regard to skill? Cameron.
All right, so it's first of all, whenever that dude joined in, I don't know. I think he said his name is Brandon or whatever. I was about to be like, who's that guy? But I don't think anybody heard me and caught the reference or whatever. But anyway, yeah. So hey, I'm Cameron. Anyway, and also you were asking for 2 drills. The other drill that I like is the you were talking about how you shoot 3 shots and then like take like 5 steps back or something like that. I do something really similar to that, except for it requires 2 shooters or 2 people. One person says go or threat or shoot or whatever they say, and whenever they say it, you draw from the holster from concealment or whatever, and you put 1 round on target or X amount of rounds. It's another modular drill. You can do whatever you want to with it. But it requires another person so that you have a distraction. So you just have regular conversation with each other, and then they'll say threat, and then or whatever they say, and then you draw and you punch a hole in that paper or whatever. And so it's not really for time; it's more of a response drill kind of thing. And the other person is looking at your target to make sure that you actually get a hit. So they'll say threat, and then the eyes go straight to the target, so they see if you get if you connect it or not. And it's really important that you have that second shooter to do that, because you as the shooter shouldn't be looking at your target. You should be looking at your front sight. So if you're shooting at an 8x11 piece of paper and you've already shot it 15 times, you don't know if you just hit it again. So that's why it requires a second shooter. Does that make sense, what I just said?
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Good. All right. So that's the other one that I like to do. All right. So what I was saying, my career suicide. What I was saying right before we got shut down by the NSA or whoever it was I've been an instructor for the Army for more than 6 years. But I haven't been to the instructor school. The Army thinks that you have to go to an instructor school to be an instructor, and I was talking about how a couple of my views on being a good NCO, like one of them being that you know the basic soldier skills well enough to where you can teach your Joes and other people's Joes how to do those things. And unfortunately, we as NCOs, no one more professional than I, are lacking in that department. There are plenty of NCOs that I see all the time who don't know how to do basic soldier skills. They don't know how to read a map. They don't know how to fill a radio. They don't know how to shoot worth a fuck. So they don't know these things, and it's because these are perishable skills. But for me, I took it so to heart, being a leader for the Army, that I feel like I have to be, able to teach these skills. And I got so good at it that a couple of units recognized my drive, I guess, and they started making me an instructor. So I started teaching, even though I don't have the instructor badge, the little cool guy instructor badge that means that, I can teach or something like that. So I've been teaching, units within my battalion. So like I've bounced around to different units and stuff like that, and helped other units with their marksmanship and stuff like that. And you would ask, what are they teaching soldiers now? I don't think it's necessarily what they are or are not teaching soldiers in basic training. I'm sure some of you guys are my friend on Facebook and Instagram, and y'all saw that while I was in ALC, one of my best friends there was a drill sergeant. And me being, Sergeant Dirtbag with a fucking beard, and having a friend who's, a drill sergeant who's supposed to be, like the gold standard. And by the way, he ended up getting distinguished honor grad. And he was like my best friend in ALC. So, it was kind of like a sugar and spice kind of thing. It's like these two things aren't supposed to be walking beside each other. Why do we see this? This is blowing people.
I smell a sitcom.
Yeah. There's a drill sergeant and then a sergeant with a beard. It's like, this doesn't make sense. Why is it? And that's another thing too, is, I hope that one day the Army doesn't judge me by my skin. People look at me and immediately they're just like, that guy's a dirtbag because I have a beard. But I do have a Fleckiartis barbe. It's a real thing. It's not race specific. You don't have to be a black dude to get it. But anyway, I digress. They do teach soldiers thing, but what I think has changed is the caliber of soldier, the caliber of person that joins the military now. In 2007, when I joined, every single person who joined around that time frame knew that we were going to war. We knew we were going somewhere, and that's why we joined. We joined because we wanted, to do that. Like that's why we did it, And the soldiers that join now, I find more commonly whenever I ask them, is they're joining because they want college money. They want to impress somebody. They want the benefits of that are associated with being, a veteran and stuff like that.
So a lot of the same pre 9/11 reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I mean, and there's still, they're still signing that dotted line, they're signing that check with their ass and all that other stuff. And I'm really appreciative of anybody who joins the military. I think that anybody in the military or who has been in the military is a better man than me or than I'll ever be and all this other stuff. But at the same time, if you join the military, you should have that. There should be some drive to want to be a war fighter. And unfortunately, we've pushed so far away from that. It drives me a little bit crazy because, me as an instructor for basic soldier skills, those skills are all based around being a war fighter. You have to be able to shoot, move, and communicate. Those are the three things that you learn day one of basic training. And, being able to fill a radio, that's your communication. Being able to move, that's pass your APFT. Being able to shoot, that's marksmanship. And these are, and also with movement map reading. These are things that I, personally, as somebody who has deployed and been a cool guy at some point in my career and all this other stuff. I'm a truck driver now, just so we're all clear. I drive trucks now. I'm not a 19 Delta anymore. I don't do cool stuff. But anyway, it's the person who's joining now isn't the same person that was joining, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, 15 years ago. It's a different person. And also, the Army has evolved with the new people. I mean, guys like me, we're not super happy in the Army anymore. You know, I don't. I used to. I had no inclination to get out of the Army up until just a couple years ago. Just a couple years ago, I sort of hit this. I sort of hit this wall where I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, this isn't what I joined to do anymore. You know, when I first joined, when I was in 252, a little backstory on me, I came from a scout and sniper section. So the unit that I came from is, you know, scouts and snipers. That's what we had in our platoon. So we were doing range operations pretty much every drill. We were out shooting all the time. And, you know, being a Cav Scout, that's a recon job. You know, that's one of them, you know, hard dick jobs that, you know, hua stuff and whatnot. But that's what I joined to do. You know, like I joined to get dirty and roll around in the dirt and shoot stuff and blow shit up. That was, you know, that was cool guy stuff to me. But now soldiers don't even want to do it. Like 2 years ago, I was running a 50 cal range, and we had, I think, 2,000 rounds left over that we needed to smoke up, you know. And I asked a big ass group of Joes, you know, who wanted to burn through this ammo, and they didn't want to. It's like they don't want to do stuff like that. They want to go back in the AC, and you know, it hurts my soul a little bit.
That sucks.
I'm trying to rediscover. I'm trying to rediscover my love for the Army. I'm hoping that whenever I get my E6 next month, I'm hoping that I can be the change that I want to see. But I mean, I'm not that popular. I'm not that. I'm not a yes man, and that's hurt my military career a lot. If I see something stupid, I call it out, you know, regardless, which isn't the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do. There is a much more professional way of doing things than the way that I do it. You know, I know the NCO creed says no one is more professional than I. That's the first line in the NCO creed. And, you know, I'm not the most professional person in the world.
No. But
I mean, I try to be. Like, for example, I was at drill this past weekend, you know, playing Army this past weekend. And my wife showed up at drill, and I was angry. I told her to leave, and everybody was like, "Whoa, why are you telling your wife to leave?" And I was like, "Because this is not professional. This is a professional environment." You know, and you know, that coming from the same guy who, whenever he teaches classes, throws chewing tobacco in his mouth, which is apparently super unprofessional. So, yeah. But I've just I've kind of lost a lot of the love that I used to have for you know what I was doing in the Army and stuff like that. But I'm trying to re-find it.
To be fair, I will capitalize on this. So coming from, I was one of those guys that joined 17 years ago. God, it makes me feel old. It's been that long. But yeah, I joined and went to basic training in 2002. Right after high school, like literally 2 days after I graduated high school, I was in basic training. But yeah, you know, even still, you know, did I learn a lot in basic training and AIT? Absolutely. But I will say this, something that Big Army did not do well was advance the training that you received or refresh the training that you received. So let's take marksmanship, for example. You know, basic training, you learn the fundamentals. You know, you're going from soup to nuts, everything about shooting that you could possibly learn or that you would need to know. Once you got into Big Army, it was, okay, time to go qualify or time to go to the range. And you went to the range and you shot, but that was it. Like there was no training opportunities baked into that experience. I will say this, and it was because I had some pretty kick-ass NCOs in my unit when I was in. During our first deployment in 2003, when we were in Kuwait for, I think, 3 weeks-ish before we actually made the drive up into Iraq. You know, they had a range set up out there at the camp that we were at, and he took us out there and he taught us ready up drills, just real basic, learning how to sweep, you know, how to move with the firearm when you're in line with people, you know, the sweeping motion, you know, like you're sweeping a broom. You know, he taught us that stuff, and that was my first experience with more than just static fire ranges.
Yeah,
like we had the personnel target, you know, the big, you know, silhouette targets up there, and it was ready up, controlled pairs on target. He wasn't keeping score. He was just like, are they in the black, so to speak? Are they in the target? Yes. Okay, then keep shooting. And that was the kind of training. That's the kind of training that I really wish. And Cameron, you might be able to elaborate on this, but I still think that's an issue. Like most of the young Joes that I still talk to and I'm friends with that I've met through, social media and stuff like that, most of them that are getting that kind of training are seeking it on their own. So through private companies or whatever the case might be. I think the Army, that's a failure on the Army's part. They need to be teaching that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So as every first sergeant has ever said following a commander, to caveat on that, what I've done on my level, which is basically nothing because I'm an E5, is I've submitted requests, to where I was like, 1 year I'd submitted a request for 20 additional rounds, because every year that I've been in the National Guard since 2012, before that it was fine, but since 2012, I've shot 58 rounds a year for the Army. 40 to qualify, 18 to 0. That's what I've gotten. And that's what most of the soldiers in my unit and most of the soldiers that I've seen are telling me is, they're getting 58 rounds a year, and that's that. And so pretty much if you want to better yourself as a shooter, you have to do it outside of the Army. And that's why, like I've taken so many soldiers, but just because I've been fortunate enough to have the facilities to train soldiers on my own, where if I've had soldiers in my unit who wanted to learn, who are just fucking hungry, and I love that shit, who want to learn, I will teach soldiers shit. I will bring them on with me on the civilian side and learn them some shit. If you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram, you see the pictures of me doing map reading. So we printed off some maps, and we went out into the fucking woods in South Carolina, and we were just walking around out in the woods. I was like learning some people some shit about, reading maps, and that was on my own time. I can't tell you how many soldiers I've taken to the range privately for me to learn them some shit out there, that's just, marksmanship stuff, or how to better themselves as a shooter. You were talking about the drills that you were running in Kuwait. The only time that I've ever done anything like that besides, since I left 252, was for validation, which is right before you go on a deployment. They get everybody in a line and, just do ready up type stuff. But what I've done on my level, like I'd started to say, I'm trying to get off track, is I've submitted requests, because that's all I can do. I've submitted a request for more rounds per soldier. I've said, hey, can we get, 20 extra rounds a year and per soldier? Because with those 20 rounds, I can teach a soldier. If I could just have free range with a group of soldiers, I can teach them so much more than them going to 0 and qualify every single year, or sit through some PMI class from the highest ranking person in the room who was half-assed paying attention, or the most common one, oh, that guy used to be infantry, he's teaching this class now, so that kind of stuff drives me crazy. But there's nothing I can do about it because I don't have the rank to fix it. I'm passionate about it. I would like to be able to fix it. I've done what I've been told that I can do, or what I've, from my research, that I can do, which is, submit requests to try to make the Army better. But I mean, I have to have some support. I have to have help, from people with more rank than myself. And unfortunately, nobody likes to, shake the boat. Nobody likes to rock the boat. Everybody wants to, oh, I'm trying to retire, I can't get in trouble or whatever, and all this other stuff. I have clearly gone beyond that point. I've requested 20 rounds a year so that I could, for all the soldiers in my unit, so that I could teach them, what their bullet's doing at different distances. And that would be your home.
Sorry, my phone just went all crazy.
Oh, okay. So that I could teach them, what their bullet's doing at different distances, because I think that's really important. Recently, I became friends with this guy, Ash Hess, If you guys don't know who that is, you should. He's the guy who wrote the 322.9. He's one of the guys who wrote the 322.9 training circular for the Army, which is the Army rifle and carbine manual.
Also, primary and secondary and Knights Armament, right? Same
yeah,
guy.
My man's. Yeah, so he's well, I consider him to be a friend. I like him a lot. He's a great dude, and I think he whenever I talked to him, I was talking to him while I was in Afghanistan because I had submitted my intent to Bigger Army, not Big Army, but to Bigger Army to open up my own school for the Army because I live in North Carolina. You know, I'm real close to Fort Jackson. I'm close enough to Fort Bragg. I'm close to Camp Butner. You know, I would like to open up my own designated marksman school. Unfortunately, the only designated marksman school that there is in Arkansas, unless you do an in-house school. But then you don't get a 1059 for it because you don't get a 1059. You don't have a little certificate that says that you're, you know, that you know how to do this thing. And I mean, that's the way it works is, you know, like you don't have your little cool guy certificate that says that you can be an instructor. You don't have your cool guy certificate that says that that you went to this school or that school, even if you did in-house, or you don't have your reclass cert or whatever, but you know how to do that job. You know, like the whole time that I was overseas, I was doing a 12 November's job, or at least most of the time. I was doing a 12 November's job. That's a heavy equipment operator. I'm not a heavy equipment operator, but they needed somebody to move equipment on and off of birds. So I did it. I can drive shit. So you know, it's just the Army they concentrate on things that are, I don't want to say unimportant because a lot of this stuff is important. But they concentrate on it a lot harder than the war fight. And I've communicated that many times that I'm like, we're getting so far away from being war fighters and being just, you know, professionals and no longer savages. Like you can't be a savage in the Army anymore. But anyway, I'm gonna, if anybody has any more questions about that, I might do a YouTube video on it or something like that. I'm taking up way too much time talking about it.
No worries. I just gotta wrap up because I just gotta get going here because past my bedtime.
I'll come talk to you.
So from just real quick, don't get discouraged, Cam. I'm gonna be serious like for 2 seconds, and then I'm gonna shut up too, so these other boys can say something. You obviously have a passion for this stuff, and for those of us who haven't served, and for those of us who haven't put our names on that line, I appreciate you both for being vets and for being there for us. And I'd much rather a dude like you that gives a damn out there representing us, and than, you know, some dude who's just there for a paycheck or there for a fucking college scholarship or whatever. So in all seriousness, from me to you, thank you. And, you know, fucking trudge on, dude.
Well said, Kent. So I'm just going to wrap up tonight. I know, Brandon, you haven't gotten to say much yet tonight, but thanks for joining us. You want to say any closing comments or anything?
Oh, yeah, it was a pretty interesting story that Cam had, and thanks for your service. And I'm doing some reloading and upgrades on my CZ, getting ready to start at USPSA again. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, CZ's pretty sweet. I love it. Corey, you got anything you want to say? Do we actually have audio on you now? No, your mic's muted, so we can't hear you. You're still muted. What the heck? Like, oh, my God. Probably for the best.
No. Yeah, it probably was. I don't know what the fuck happened. For some reason, since we haven't, well, at least I haven't been on for a while, it somehow shut off my microphone when I tried to log in. So I had to go back through my entire settings and redo it, like my computer settings. But anyway, yeah, if I don't see any of you, good morning, good evening, and good night.
All right, Sherman.
You watch
way too many movies.
I do. I should probably be doing more schoolwork than what I really am. Yeah.
All right. Well said. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And Cameron, you got anything you want to close out with?
Yep. I want to make sure that everybody understands that I'm not a hater. Like I am appreciative of, you know, like other veterans and, you know, like, and the Army and the Marine Corps and, you know, all that other stuff. But there are some things that drive me crazy, you know, about it and stuff like that. Again, I want to shout out Aerodynamics, Todd Resource Management, Contract Solutions Muzzle Brakes, Palmetto State Armory, and DEFCON Delta Tactical. That's one of the companies that I work for. Also, one more, the Tactical Farm in Mooresboro, North Carolina. So, yeah, those are just some shout outs.
What's the Tactical Farm? What is that?
Tactical Farm. It's I think they have a 600-yard range. It's where they
cheap with guns.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd farmer.
Cows and pigs and guns and shit. So no, it's
your own bacon.
That's where they host the Gastonia Sniper Conference and shit like that.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, and the dudes that the guy who I know who works there is a good friend of mine, or at least I consider him to be a good friend of mine, is Greg Ament. And that dude is just fucking like he's just an awesome dude. I love that guy. He's amazing. Like
awesome.
Like I said before, competitive shooters and stuff, like they're just the best people that you're ever gonna meet in your life. It just so there's I try to support whoever's business I can. I haven't purchased a knife from TJ yet, but I've been looking to see which one I want to get. I was gonna ask him about it actually after this to figure out which one I was gonna get from him and such, just so that I could, test it out and shit. But yeah, I like to support, the other people's businesses and stuff like that. Just like I would hope that, whenever I come out with my own clothing line, people start buying my own clothes. I don't know if y'all saw my Snapchat where I was talking about my clothing size scale, where it's, sandwich, and then who cares, medium, thick with a double C, thick with a Q, and goddamn. Yeah, those are my clothing line. Those are the sizes. Yeah. Awesome. I hope that you guys start buying my clothes when I do that.
All right, then. Cool. Well, Ken, anything you want to wrap up with tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to need a 3 per shirt in goddamn from you, Cam. Maybe stick with a Q, maybe. I don't know.
I'm gonna need a Big Dick Daddy from Cincinnati's t-shirt. All right.
Jesus Christ! You sound like a trucker who just came breaking through this clock box.
That's right.
Breaker. Well, nah, this is Big Roger.
Oh yeah. I'm not turning into William H. Casey. Nobody quits, right?
Jesus God Almighty!
If a
you wait till like the last minute, the 11th hour, to bring that shit up.
If a trucker had a 1-900 number,
leading to Corey's bedroom.
Oh yeah, Daddy.
I could. You know what, Corey? That might be the career for you.
Yeah, hey, I mean, it could be.
They make some good money.
Phone sex operator and truck driver, like that's money on top of
shit.
Money.
You can be making money while you're making money.
Double dipping, motherfucker.
Driving and talking on the phone.
I could tell them that I'm a blind phone sex operator, so I don't really know what I'm wearing.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! Oh, the internet.
TJ, you want to mention last minute here?
What the fuck?
No, I think I'm good, man.
But I didn't even get to say nothing, man. Hold on.
Sorry, Kent. Were you gonna say something?
I'm following Rick's commands here. Go ahead.
I tripped up because Corey tripped me up.
Yeah. I gotta put my YouTube channel up there real quick behind me.
Are you gonna draw a sign and put it up there? You can find it.
Hit me up, Green Mountain Defense. Come on over to YouTube. Come on over to Facebook, Instagram. Not on Snapchat. Yeah, get your sign out of here. So follow me, please. I don't know why else you would.
Follow me. Please follow me.
No, but we got some classes coming up. We got Scott Jitlinski Modern Samurai Project coming out to Lewisberry, PA on April 14th and 15th. So you motherfuckers who want to talk shit about how you can't run red dots, come out and let Scott teach you how. No, I'm not teaching you how. I'll be on the line next to you sucking slightly less as your host.
I don't want to know what you're sucking on, though.
Oh, you know what I'm sucking on, Cam. Where are you at, baby? Anyway.
By the way, Scott Jitlinski, that's another one. That's another one of those like competitive shooter guys who is just like the best guy in the world.
So here's what you're gonna hear. Like for all you tactical ninjas that are out there saying that competition shooting doesn't matter, like watch any of these motherfuckers just burn down some drills and tell me that you want to be on the other side of the gun. I don't want to be there. Like you're gonna lose.
Competition shooter lives matter.
They do. But other than that, thank you guys for your service. And subscribe to Rick, would you please, too? Like, we all plug ourselves. Fucking sub to BigGunner81 so he'll, like, post these more than once every 3 months, whether we need to or not.
I know.
We need to motivate our man.
Do them every week again.
So, join Rick's Patreon if he has one. And if he doesn't, create one for him.
Patreon.com/BigGunner81.
Get it. All right, I'm out.
Yeah. Check out the BigGunner81.com page, too. We got some stuff for sale on there. TJ, you were saying something, and I don't know if you were finished or not.
No, I'm good, man. It's always good to hang out with you guys. Yeah, we cut up a lot, but it's always in good fun. We always end up learning a lot, regardless of the tomfoolery and shenanigans that go on here. So, always
Corey.
Appreciate you. And dude, I miss Corey.
I miss Corey too. He's funny as hell.
He's all busy with school, trying to like get his learn on and stuff.
Trying to get smart and shit.
But yeah, Cam, just hit me up later, man. We'll talk.
I'm just gonna wrap it up real fast here. Appreciate y'all watching. Sorry about the split show tonight because of the clicking the stop broadcast button by mistake. That's what really happened, for those who are wondering. Anyway, again, as always, we'll try to do this again next week. And till next time, have fun shooting.